Okay, so this might be my last update. I'm still out here in this fake staged area of my supposed hometown uh, in another country. I believe it's uh, not a very friendly country. I'm finding out that there was probably three of us being switched around. One was uh, with the real Treskas. Well, the fake Treskas who were kind of replaced. There's a possibility that they changed their name, and that's the family I belong in. But they had a look-alike kid that looks exactly like me, except apparently he used to be heavier when he was young. I was never heavy when I was young. I was always slim from the beginning. And then there's the look-alike with the blonde, dirty blonde hair turned brown and blue eyes or some shit. And I was always brown eyes, brown hair, and I was being switched around. All of us were kind of being switched around at certain times with these cult like families. Unfortunately, these families are into trafficking. Um, and they kept me with the fake version, the trafficking version, look-alike version of the Treskas for a long time. At least they were switching us back and forth all through our childhoods, and then, well, me with another kid, and then they were also switching at the end, the other kid, I believe that looks very much like me, the other guy, they left him alone till the end. And that might be my family who changed their last name. Something happened in North Jersey when I was really little, where what they told me is it took us 43 years to cover up these crimes. And not just that, but when they were sending these lilies, because what they do is they tell these girls, oh, this guy is this and that, and he's a P, and he's a trafficker, and we're trying to set him up. Whenever anyone comes to you with that, the first question you got to ask is, why is the guy not in jail then? Because there's something more going on. It's cults switching up family members and doing weird things. Where they have people who, there's these cults that stalk families with and give births to children that look the same. It's a massive, like, almost like cover up for like trafficking people around in general, because they do it to you as an adult as well. But what I'm realizing is that there was actually 3 lookalikes, supposedly. There was 2, me and the other guy who believed we were Treskas. And then there was the other guy who was apparently chubbier when he was little. I was always slim, that I was ultimately replaced with from my real family, who may have used to be the Treskas or something, but they changed their name, or they had a completely different last name to begin with, Italian. And that's why I always wondered, I was like, well, Treska, Polish? I don't look Polish. And that's why even when they were doing these operations on me, uh, to kind of make me fall into this trap where they're trafficking me as an adult into another country. Uh, what I believe they did is they would tell these girls that sort of looked like what I believed my girlfriend Lily looked like and who she was, and they would mess with my phone communication, hack it, and or if Lily would change her number, I wouldn't find out. If somebody would move away, I wouldn't find out. They would prevent me from finding out certain information by controlling my internet and phones communications and stuff. And I believe my real family has a completely different last name because I believe they even left me a picture with my real sister. And she looks exactly like me as a kid. But also, that third look-alike looks exactly like me even now, the way I look. Except apparently he was chubbier when he was a kid. The other look-alike who took the Trestka name, he, by the time we were in our 20s, he already looked nothing like me, I believe. It's very confusing when you're kidnapped as a child and swapped all around. And that's why even when these girls were, and that's why I mean targeted individual, that's not even a thing. That's just people being targeted by operations. And the simplest form of an operation is framing somebody. But it's just people being targeted by these operations. My operation was complex. It was a lifetime. I was being used as a cover for something bigger and groomed into it. And that's why I noticed, like, anytime I would get a girlfriend or something, oh no, we can't have that. Anytime that I would be breaking my chains, they would send in massive military and intelligence to run these operations on me and get me back to the original house before I could discover that I possibly am not a Trestka at all. Or maybe that used to be my family's name and they changed it, and these people in the 80s kidnapped the real me and stole the identity. And what happened, I believe, is they did it through these type of operations. In other words, it was like a continuing cycle. So, for example, they found, let's say, 3 girls that looked like my supposed girlfriend Lily, and they all had, and then they found 3 that also had 3 sons at the same age, around the same age, same time, that looked somewhat similar. I actually saw 4. One kid they sent in looked like he had Down syndrome. I felt so bad for the kid. We were blowing out cupcakes on his birthday, and he's like spitting all over the cakes, and I'm like, Asher, I'm like, and he's and I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then that same night they brainwashed me, and they must have got in because it was another Asher, and I didn't know that, and now until hindsight, because they brainwash you to not remember certain details to certain things, and you got to be careful, man. It's almost like as soon as you notice that detail, you got to run. But anyway, I was telling these girls, I was like, my gut instinct was like, what are you doing? if I actually did anything that they claim I did, they wouldn't be doing this to me. This is something bigger. This is a cover for something bigger, like a massive trafficking operation or something, because I even remember the telepathy telling me at the same, well, no, they would let me listen in to what the telepathy was telling, like certain people at certain times. And it was when I was warning one of these lookalike girls, once I caught on that they were like lookalikes and things like that, I was telling them, I was like, oh, you should, like, this is dangerous. Like, you shouldn't be using your kids for this. Like, because, and I remember the telepathy was saying, you should listen to him. How do you think he ended up in this position? Because I was one of those little kids being flipped around. From the real Treskas in the United States to the fake Treskas on this weird base looking mock town, to, and while keeping me away from my real family. And that's why I don't even believe their last names are even Tresca. And what they would do is they would frame me in the States using CIA level. And that's why even all the agents and cult members that pass me, they point at the eye because of this thing. Now this thing, I already saw staged pictures that they took with people in CIA getup that looks like me. They just fucking artificially put that on. And not just that, but the one time that I ended up in the hospital, an agent told me, he's like, a girl told us that you could do this, like you inject the pore with this. That's why when I woke up in the hospital, all of a sudden I had this. I didn't have it before. But they said, oh, if you, it's so we could keep track of you, because a girl injected your pore, and she said it should cause one of those things, like injected the pore with something that would cause that to happen. But the point is I don't even believe I was raised by what I believe to be. In other words, there were two staged families. There's the real Treskas in the real America, which believe that they're Treskas. The fake Treskas on that fake military mock base somewhere where it's in the middle of God knows where. And they had me back and forth between those two. Meanwhile, the real family, I probably have a completely different last name. Possibly. But I wouldn't know them at all. And I believe that they were doing similar with my brother and sister in the real Treskas, or what they know to be real, as well as the staged ones at times. And I believe it's just a cover for some massive operation, trafficking operation that, especially for those stuff that they said that I was being framed for in the real United States. And somebody told me that the family I come from, my real legit family, the names are all the same. Like my brother and sister, Michael, Danielle, whatnot. But the fake, they changed their last name at some point. And I was being switched around. And that's why the guy that looks the most like me, he used to be like chubby or something when he was a kid, but he slimmed out again. And I was always slim, always slim. I was never chubby. And they did this by breaking into all these people's houses without any forced entry. They put everybody to sleep, even if it's just like spiking their food with some type of chemical or something. And they go into the house and they freaking would switch out pictures and photo albums, switch out baby books, do all types of weird shit to try to make almost like a narrative align and brainwash the families and things. And that's where I guess the cult-ish aspect comes into this, but it's the military and intelligence that's behind most of it. I guess you could call it like military cults, satanic almost, and trafficking cults, and that's what I even told these lilies that were using lookalikes of the kids. I mean, I don't know if they actually got the message, because I did it through phone communication as I was figuring things out. But I was like, dude, trafficking isn't always like sex trafficking. It's a government agent, let's say, going up to you and saying, hey, this guy is this and this and this, and then tricking them and saying, hey, would you mind, he's not dangerous. Would you mind, we used you and your kid because you look like what is his and his girlfriend and this and that. And then they would switch out these kids without these girls knowing. The same shit happened to me. And that's why I kept saying, you guys are stupid. That's the same thing as trafficking. It doesn't matter if it's not sex trafficking, it's still trafficking. You're taking money to move people around. And that's why they didn't want me to be framed in the real United States. They didn't want that, because it would have blown the whole thing open. And that's why I know, even if cops come for me here, it's some fake ass shit. Because they don't want me to be framed in the real United States. Because then the whole thing gets blown wide open, where, yo, you were moving kids around, you were doing this, getting fake IDs of all the family members, doing all these different things. And I was being moved around randomly all through my, with the other kid, one of the other kids, all through my youth. And I was also being moved around as an adult. And that's why, like, I didn't understand what was going on, but the one I guess government agent or whatever told me, he's like, bro, stay in New York City. If you're in New York City, you're in the real place. It's every time you get a ride home, they pull a black operation. Every time you jump on a bus, or not every time, but most of the times, every time they're taking you away. And then I remember somebody saying also that that's just one aspect, because the Treskas may not be his real family after all, and it could be this family that changed their name at some point, or had a different name and moved. They possibly moved down to Florida and then moved back to the East Coast, the New York City-ish area again. I don't know. I just know even at Disneyland, as a kid, they were switching me around. One minute, I had a guy that looked like my father with the hairy legs. Next minute, I had a guy that looked like my father with freaking shaved legs. And I'm like, I even noticed it. I noticed it even the one time I went down the shore when I was maybe 16, 17. Because they used the telepathy. We were sitting on the beach. And they were like, notice your dad's legs? He had hairy legs. And that's with the real Treskas, or what I know to be the real Treskas. Never mind the fact that I may not even be a Treska, and I was just put into that family so that this fake Treska family can target us. And that's why everybody used to be scared of me. I didn't know why. Girls were scared to date me. Some dudes were scared to hang out with me. I remember going by my boy's house, and we all our group of friends used to chill there, and he just kicked me out for no reason. He's like, no, you can't be here. You can't. No, I don't want anything to do with this. And I never understood why until now. And that's because they knew that I was possibly part of a different family. My name is probably still really Jason. They keep the first name the same. Because think about it, when you're a little kid, the first thing you learn is your actual real name. So, one of the first things. So, if they're going to be switching people around, they make sure that, and that's why we should have never chose Asher as this kid's name, even with the birth I was dealing with. Because they almost like brainwash the people who are involved, and they know that these kids are going to come out looking the same because the couples look similar. They just usually have different eye colors and stuff like that. And that's why I guarantee you my real family, I don't know if you can see this, but the truth is in the eyes. But hold on, I have these, I don't know if you can see it, but I have these like light brown, it's like a brown eye, but it has this glow, like this light to it. You know, it's like that light brown. I guarantee you my real sister has the same thing. And if I have a little brother, Michael, I don't know, that could have just been with the stage family in the real place. He might have the same thing. My mother too. And that's why, like, okay, I guess the best way to know if your family was targeted by something like this is families look alike. If you have two kids with these type of noses, right? And then you have one type of kid with a nose like this, there's a good chance mom cheated or you were targeted by some type of flip-flop operation like this. Because even a couple of the, quote, Lily lookalikes, I noticed two of them were probably twin sisters, and they were possibly cousins. Possibly. Because that's how you know one of these cult operations or whatever. It's those details. Families look alike. Another one will be the teeth. They put me with this sister with like hazel green eyes and these tiny, tiny teeth. My real sister probably has the same teeth and light brown eyes like me. And probably has a completely different last name. They faked the family in the real America, the Treskas, and then they also put a staged family in a fake mock setup of North Jersey at some type of base. And I might be a part of a completely different family. They may have even used to be called Trestka and changed their name for one reason or another. And yeah, that's about all I could really think of. I know this phone is going to get turned off soon because I'm not even in America. I believe the U.S. military made some shady deal with a shady country, went through a middleman, possibly Japan, went through a middleman and possibly made a deal with some type of foreign dictator, and are selling me off into the slave market or some shit. That's what I have a feeling. And they were also using me as a cover in the real America for some type of trafficking thing going on. That's the basic gist that I get from the whole thing. And they've been using me and doing this to me since I was very little and flip-flopping me around. Maybe the real Treskas in the house that was originally in the house in America are my real family. And they were just switching people around like crazy. They would put in their dirty blonde-haired kid or this or that or whatever. Yeah, I'm just listening to something going down over there. It's funny because they even hijack old PSE and G vehicles, all these different things. But the funny part is the license plates are fake. They're stickers. You know how the license plates usually have, like, they're engraved, well, outgraved, where it sticks out? These people, it looks like Jersey plates, but it's a sticker. It's a sticker, printed out sticker. But if my real family is the real, let's say, Treskas in America, they would look. Doesn't that look familiar? Looks like, looks like our old house. It's not. It's not. It's just staged to look this way. Not just that, but if my family, my real family, I was taken away from them very young, as a toddler, baby, and replaced with what I believe to be a guy that looks exactly like me, but apparently he was chubbier when he was a baby or something. I believe that they don't even know the real me is missing. And he may be the guy that married the girl that's really Lily Mazzilli. And they gave me the lookalikes. Whereas the other guy with the dirty blonde hair that stopped looking like me by the 20s might have joined up with the fake staged Treskas again in America, or his real family. Which I got a feeling that's what they did. They did two staged families with stolen identities. And then my real family might have originally been something completely different. Either they were the Treskas and they changed their last name, and then they stole and Social Security, and they changed all their numbers, or they were and then after that they stole their old identities, these fake Treskas in the real United States, or there were three families in general where I was a part of a completely different family that had a different last name. And that's all I could think of, man. And I just know I'm in danger, because apparently this is some type of they took me with them to some type of military developmental operation in some other country, and I know that they have to leave very soon. These military lookalikes of the people who I supposedly know. But, like, I even remember one girl telling me, she's like, I know your real family. Because she wanted to meet me. She's like, I know your real family and the fake you. She's like, I was friends with the fake you, but he doesn't really like me. He's into this other girl. But I know your sister and your real mother. But she couldn't even tell me their last name. Like, apparently people are getting brainwashed, hurt, killed, whatever it fucking takes to cover this up. That's why they took me all the way to a foreign country that's most likely run by, I believe, a dictator or something, because they they couldn't they couldn't cover it up in America. And that's why even when I was, they even said, even if the cops arrested me in America, they would have, for whatever they were framing me for, they would have done a black operation with FBI or state police and have them pick me up and bring me here anyway. Because it was something about when all of us were toddlers and little that they were trying to cover up, swapping kids around, and as well as framing me for possibly certain other trafficking operations, using me as a cover. And that's why I was always having emails hacked, always having my accounts hacked, always having my documents stolen, always having things go missing, valuables. I remember I worked for one company uh, doing HVAC, and we ended up suing the company, a class action. I ended up getting like 10 grand or so, and somebody stole it. And I was asking my supposed mother, like, have you seen this? What happened? Did you take my money? Why would I take your money? Maybe she did. Maybe it wasn't my mother at all. And any time, like I said, that I would advance outside, go further than the chains that they put on me, they would send in military or intelligence operatives to sabotage me or frame me again in a new place. So I was always going out to New York City. Well, that was outside the barrier of their operation. We're going to frame him in New York. I was always, I got a good job in New York City. Okay, well, let's sabotage that job. I, finally got a girlfriend, possibly a kid. Oh, well, let's sabotage that. We'll have her move without him knowing. Uh, I have lost memories of that's that's the look-alike of my supposed mom. She looks nothing like her. It's scary, but how my real mom, that I may have never met or only met once, I don't know how she looks. The staged mom, the treskas that were being used, they weren't really staged. I think they were unknowingly being used as a cover in the real United States. I know what she looks like, and I remember her well. And this woman looks nothing like her. It's fucking creepy. My real mom, even if the real Treskas in the real United States was a fake family I was inserted into, they wouldn't know it. They didn't know it. And they probably, my real mom would be very old by now. Like, this woman is creepy. And she hisses at you like a fucking devil, like a serpent. Now I know what most people are thinking, like, dude, why don't you run? It's because I am surrounded. I'm in a foreign land, mocked to look like a specific small area in the United States that I know, and everybody around me is in on it. So where do you run to? They're even going to have their fake cops come and grab me, if anything, the second I try to run. If I'm lucky, I might be able to make a break to like a fucking forest, but then where am I? They messed with my phone to show as if I'm in New Jersey. The GPS, like, where the hell am I? But like I said, my real sister, I think they left me a picture of her. And she has the same eyes, dude. It was like amazing to see. She has the same damn eyes. And the same damn face from when I was younger. These are a bunch of ugly ass cult lookalikes, Temu versions. And I think that's why they do this. It's also partially like a breeding program where they'll take their ugly ass cult kid and put them in a beautiful family and shit. Because even with the hell that I've been through, like, I'm not totally like looking crazy yet. But like I said, I got a feeling my real family, like, they're, decent looking people and stuff. These people look like fucking hell. Like, they look like fucking creepy. And